Let me ask y'all something because we don't really get into stuff like this. And to the people in the chat as well, I'd like to hear your response. Do you think most men would care if a woman they've been dating admitted that she assaulted a man before?
No.
You should.
No, I'm saying
I don't think
I
men would
don't think
take
men
that
would
What?
care
serious.
about that.
So
I don't think men would even take that serious if a woman were to even
they'd be like, "What kind of weak
admit
man
to
was
that.
that?" That's probably
No,
what they
They
say.
would blame
No,
the man, I
no,
think.
I don't
no,
think
it's not.
so.
It happened. So
It
it
happened.
happened.
It
Okay,
does.
it happened to me.
right?
Uh,
And I think
Listen,
to men that it happened to them when they were younger, especially if they've acknowledged the fact that that was the case,
What's that
hearing
noise?
I don't know who that is, um,
Wrong.
but hearing that a partner that they had or that they have now did something like that, I think it would affect those men. And I think the second thing is like if you're just dating and you're actually considering that woman for marriage, I think that makes a lot of men question her integrity in terms of what type of
hmm
mother she's going to be. So I think on those fronts, so men who are victims or
hmm
like were boy victims as boys or whatever the circumstance is, because men do get assaulted as well. And I think in terms of like your viability as a wife, so I think men would actually take it seriously. They might front to you if you're the person saying it like, oh,
yeah.
it's no big deal or whatever, but really it's sitting in the back of their mind in their decision.
I mean,
Oh,
That's
the
not
only
right.
reason
and I know like these situations are hard to fathom, but there are situations in which men entrust women. So because it's random, I'll say that someone I know let he moved to a new city. He let basically four of his homegirls, well, three of his homegirls and a girl they knew, or the girls knew, come stay at his house so they could explore the new city he was living in. Right? They all go out and they get drunk, and they treat him more like a little brother. That's what they call him. Yada yada, whatever. Like that's our boy. He's not tripping. One of the girls took a liking to him, or the new girl, and he was like, "Nah, not really my type. You know, I'm seeing somebody right now, but y'all cool or whatever." So they find it funny while they're drunk to tie him up. And then he said, "All right, this is funny. Ha ha ha." He wasn't really worried. The girl that he wasn't interested in, that they try to push up on him, comes in the room and literally straddles him. And and you know, the boys, we just sitting here like, okay, she smashed you. What the problem? She said, bro, she didn't put a condom on me.
Mm,
This type of stuff, like when dudes start telling you their stories, they don't talk.
mm.
That look, and when I heard that, like, I mean, because I think of him like a little brother. I said, well, I'm if it's your choice, but we going somebody getting a charge, bro.
Mm.
Somebody needs to be charged.
Well,
You
to speak to what Inaz was saying, the only reason I say that, and I've said the opposite before, a lot of times when we talk well, when men, I think women relate to it better when a young boy, ends up having his first experience with an older girl, typically a babysitter or something like that. So I think as women, we understand that to be assault, right? We understand that to be molestation or what have you. But what I notice when guys talk about that, they talk about it from a braggart sense of
Mhm.
like when they say that they've lost their virginity. Oh, I lost my virginity when I was 10 and that was a babysitter. The babysitter was 14. And I think in the way that they process it, I know as women, we're because I remember having a conversation before on one of our shows, and somebody said that, and I was like, "No, you were assaulted." And then, oh no, I wasn't. Like I liked it. I wanted to do it. So I don't think that they process it the same way, and that's
Mhm.
why I say I don't necessarily think they would care if it was the reverse.
So I don't agree
It
with that.
depends on the
And
man.
it's- yeah, so it does depend on the man, but this is why I don't
Mhm.
agree with it. I think that the stigma around men being assaulted and the way that that strips them of their masculinity, even if they do process it, I think a lot of them will refuse to vocalize it that way. The second thing is regardless of whether it's a boy or a girl, the number one sign of being sexually assaulted is promiscuity. So if you feel like the big dog, you can get any woman you want as a 10-year-old boy, that's an immediate red flag that every adult around him should be like, oh, well, wait a minute, let's have a conversation about what's going on, why you feel like this, right?
Mhm.
Not to mention the fact that like children know when something is off, regardless of how you want to spin that as a like defense mechanism to that trauma. You still feel weird, and then that shows up in all of your relationships as an adult, right? So I think even though they may not vocalize it internally, they know what's up, they know what happened was not okay for them to happen to it. It's just, is there the space to talk about it? Are there people paying attention even if they're not willing to talk about it? And is there like, most boys aren't even equipped with the language to vocalize what it is, right? It's always that women are victims and men are aggressors, and so there isn't really a whole lot of space to say, hey, well, this happened to me too, right? And so I, even if they do process it as trauma, I just think there's so much at stake in saying that even as adults, a lot of them just won't.
I think what happens as well is that other men, if a man express this, other men will be like, oh, I wish someone would have done something like that to me. So it's like they don't take it seriously. So that's why some men rather just keep it to themselves instead of putting themselves out there like as a victim, even though they were a victim. They prefer not to say anything because other men might find it, like funny to say like, I wish that would have happened to me. I wouldn't complain or something like that. So that's why even women don't think that this is assaulting or is something bad when women, actually do it. But I think it's the same level of aggression.
There's a
I mean,
famous Christian rapper named Lecrae. He talks about this happening to him, and he talked about in the beginning. He bragged about it, how it was like, yeah, like this happened to me. I'm the man. But later on in his life, as he became more famous and more prominent in hip hop, he talked about how it destroyed him and how he became promiscuous. He disregarded women's bodies, and he just did his own thing until he found God and understood that that was not the true way to live life. And I think a lot of men bury those feelings within themselves and have probably no one to talk to about it, just like some women who have probably been through the same thing. And with how we know how men are, they don't talk about things, they don't share their feelings. So I can just imagine the deep pain they go through, feeling like I hated that experience, but I have to act like I like it and kind of just go as a macho man with that. So I think a lot of men really need to talk about it, whether, professionally or whomever they feel, comfortable talking to. But it is something that is happening that men struggle with, that we just don't talk about in society or accept.